Once again, Christian greetings to all our valued listeners and viewers throughout the whole world, more particularly to all Shepherd's Rod believers, and most especially to our beloved brothers and sisters in the United States of America. Special greetings to our brethren in Colorado and PG Island, Mexico, Spain, Africa, to the United Kingdom, to our brethren in Australia, and to the 144,000 living saints scattered abroad. May the good Lord bless you and have a wonderful evening. This is our episode number 8, the subject, the wave sheaf and the wave loaves. To begin our study, let's read answerer number 3, page 11, saying, once for all is seen the utter impossibility of the Roman months having the slightest thing to do with fixing the time of either the Passover or the sheep offering, and thus not the slightest thing to do with reckoning the time of either the crucifixion or the resurrection of Christ. This reading completely shows that it utters the impossibility that we could be able to comprehend the subject concerning the wave sheaf and the wave loaves without the knowledge concerning the Bible calendar. For accordingly, it utters the impossibility even in the slightest thing for the Roman months that we could be able to locate either the crucifixion or the resurrection of Jesus Christ, by which Jesus Christ was resurrected on the very day the wave loaves will be offered. Now, I would like to read the statement in track number 3, third edition, saying, the first being the type, the second the prototype, the third the antitype. Page 97 in track number 3, third edition. So we have the type, the prototype, and then the antitype, according to the Shepherd's Rod. Now here's another statement in track number 3 on page, here the Shepherd's Rod called it the prototypical sheep, page 85. Just as Christ and those whom he raised and took with him became the prototypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the first fruits, the 120, of those who are to be resurrected. So also when he entered upon his priestly ministration in the first apartment of the heavenly sanctuary, and presented himself and his trophies before the Father, they became the antitypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the first fruits of those who are to be translated, the 144,000 living saints. In the light of this parallel, the spiritual condition of the 120 before the apostolic Pentecost is clearly seen to typify the spiritual condition of the 144,000 before the future Pentecost. Track number 3, page 85 and page 86. Now, let us carefully study this very important subject, brethren, and let us take all the important points in our reading. Now, according to the Shepherd's Rod, Jesus Christ, together those whom he resurrected, together with his resurrection, it says, and took with him became the prototypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the first fruits, the 120, of those who are to be resurrected. And we know that the 120 at that time were not yet dead. They were still living. So the statement to be resurrected must be understood that they need to die first before they will be resurrected. So the resurrection of Jesus Christ, together with those whom he raised and took with him, became the prototypical sheep and betokening the ingathering of the first fruits, which is the 120. The first fruits, those who are to be resurrected, but they need to die first before they will be resurrected. And accordingly, when Jesus Christ entered into the holy place, the first apartment, in the heavenly sanctuary, Jesus Christ presented himself and his trophies before his Father, and they became the antitypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the first fruits of those who are to be translated, the 144,000 living saints. So, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, together with those whom He raised at His resurrection, there are two significance. The first significance is pointing to the 120 disciples, the first fruits of the gospel, by which they need to die first before they will be resurrected. Now, I would like to read another statement here in track number 3, pages 82 and page 83. It says, as the light focusing to this point clearly reveals that the Pentecost after the resurrection was for the ingathering of those who were to die. So, it says that the Pentecost after the resurrection was for the ingathering of those who were to die. There must correspondingly be a Pentecost for the ingathering of those who are to be translated. And by the same token of logic, the wave sheaf and the wave loaves must have a double application, each to the dead and to the living, together comprising the total fruits of the antitypical harvest. So, that is very plain, according to this reading, that the wave sheaf and the wave loaves must have a double application, each to the dead and to the living. Now, let us focus first, the wave sheaf and the wave loaves with a double application to the dead first. So, there must be a double application to the dead, and there must also be a double application to the living. Now, let us connect our study on 3 symbolic code, number 5 and 6, page 12 and page 13. So it says, the question is, are the first fruits of the dead also of the living? Question number 165. If Christ is the first fruits of the dead, is He not also the first fruits of the living? Answer. This query is answered in track number 3, the harvest, in the illustration on page 44, of which the barley sheaf of the first fruits is pictured in type and antitype. That is, the ceremonial sheaf of barley prefigured the resurrection of Christ, the first fruits, including those who arose with Him. Let us distinctly separate those who are resurrected together with Jesus Christ, the same hour, 6 a.m., and those who had been resurrected after Christ's resurrection in 9 a.m. Now, let us continue reading. It says, these resurrected ones constituted the spiritual sheep which at the beginning of the judgment of 1844 was offered before the Father as a sheep offering of the living first fruits. Now, let us analyze closely, brothers and sisters. The shepherds had already told us in track number 3 on page 72, saying, just as the spirit of prophecy declares that the whole system of types and symbols was a compacted prophecy of the gospel, a presentation in which were bound up the promises of redemption. The Acts of the Apostles, page 14. Just so, the plan of salvation is unfolded not only in the testimonies of the prophets and in the parables of Christ, but also in the types and symbols of the earthly sanctuary. In addition to this, the experiences of the people in the typical period happened unto them, we are told, for examples, and they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 11. Now this reading is plainly telling us that God revealed the wondrous structure of the plan of redemption in diverse ways. Types, symbols, parables, through the testimonies of the prophets, as well as the Levitical system of priesthood in the earthly sanctuary. And also, all the happenstance that had been recorded in the Bible. Accordingly, the purpose that it was written, it is for ensamples, meaning as types. Now, let us focus first to the Levitical priesthood. And focusing first to the Passover, because it is during the Passover week by which the sheep offering is waved before the Lord, presented before the Lord. Now, the Spirit prophecy plainly told us here in Desire of Ages, page 77, saying, the Passover was followed by the 7 days Feast of Unleavened Bread. On the second day of the feast, the first fruits of the year's harvest, a sheaf of barley, was presented before the Lord. All the ceremonies of the feast were types of the work of Christ. The deliverance of Israel from Egypt was an object lesson of redemption, which the Passover was intended to keep in memory. The slain lamb, the unleavened bread, the sheaf of first fruits, represented the Savior. The Spirit of prophecy says, not only a part, but all the ceremonies of the feast. What feast mentioned here? The Passover feast. Now, it is even more particularly pointing to the ceremony by which the sheaf of barley was presented before the Lord. Of course, the statement, all the ceremonies of the feast were types of the work of Christ, that is pointing to Christ's mediatorial work in the heavenly sanctuary. Because the only sanctuary of Christianity is the sanctuary in heaven. That is the true sanctuary, the sanctuary of the Christians. So let us read the consecrated way to Christian perfection. So it says here, consecrated way to Christian perfection, page 104. It says, but that imposture is not to last forever. Thank the Lord. This great truth of the priesthood, ministry, and sanctuary of Christianity is not to be hid forever from the eyes of the church and the world. So the only priesthood, ministry, and sanctuary of Christianity is the priesthood of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary. And the Voice of Inspiration called it the true sanctuary, or the particular object in view, because the sanctuary on earth during the Levitical priesthood, during the Levitical system, that is only, brothers and sisters, an illustration of the heavenly sanctuary, which is the true object, the heavenly sanctuary, the sanctuary in heaven. Now, I would like to read here in Consecrated Way to Christian Perfection, 120. And now in this time of the consummation of the hope of all the ages, in this time when the true sanctuary is truly to be cleansed, in this time when the work of the gospel is to be completed, and the mystery of God indeed finished, now is the time of all the times that ever were in the world, when the believers in Jesus, the blessed objects of His glorious priesthood and wondrous intercessions in the true sanctuary, shall be partakers of the full measure of His heavenly grace, and shall have in their lives transgression finished, an end of sins and reconciliation for iniquity made forevermore, and in the perfection of truth, everlasting righteousness brought in. Consecrated Way to Christian Perfection, page 120. Although that is a very broad subject, but let us go back to our main subject. I'm trying to emphasize that, brothers and sisters, the illustration, brothers and sisters, of the Jewish system is pointing to the work of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary. And accordingly, the originator of the entire Jewish economy is Jesus Christ. Here in 1SM 232, Selected Messages, Book 1, page 232, it says, the Christian Church, on the last sentence. The Christian Church, on the other hand, who profess the utmost faith in Christ, despising the Jewish system, virtually deny Christ, who was the originator of the entire Jewish economy. 1SM, page 232. And in Christ Object Lesson, page 133, it says, the significance of the Jewish economy is not yet fully comprehended.
truths vast and profound are shadowed forth in its rites and symbols. The gospel is the key that unlocks its mysteries. Through a knowledge of the plan of redemption, its truths are open to the understanding far more than we do. It is our privilege to understand these wonderful themes. We are to comprehend the deep things of God. Angels desire to look into the truths that are revealed to the people who with contrite hearts are searching the Word of God and praying for greater lengths and breadths and depths and heights of the knowledge which He alone can give. Christ's Object Lesson, page 133. In volume 6, page 392, it says, the gospel is given in precept in Leviticus. Implicit obedience is required now, as then how essential it is that we understand the importance of this word. And you might wonder, why is it that Leviticus contain only 27 chapters? Because it foreshadows the New Testament, the gospel dispensation. The New Testament contain only 27 books. So, Leviticus, or the gospel, is given in precept in the book of Leviticus. Now, let us now focus to Leviticus chapter 23, brothers and sisters, because in Leviticus chapter 23, all the Sabbaths are there recorded, even the weekly Sabbath. Now, I would like to read tract number 3, page 78. Tract number 3 on page 78. It says, the wave sheaf was to be offered on the morrow after the Sabbath. That is on the first day of the week, now commonly called Sunday. So, there is no other day by which the wave sheaf must be offered. That is always fall on the first day of the week, which is commonly called Sunday. But the most important thing that we need to know, that the offering of the first fruits, the barley sheaf, which is way before the Lord, on the morrow after the Sabbath, which is the first day of the week, which is commonly called Sunday, brothers and sisters, does not always come on the second day of the feast, as stated in Desire of Ages, page 77. Now, since the shepherd's rod, let us now make a very simple analysis. Since the shepherd's rod is very plain that the first feast of the Passover week is the 15th day of the first month, or in other words, the first Passover feast always fall on the 15th day of the first month. Now, I would like to read one symbolic code, number 6, page 7. So, let us read the statement. And it was written 1934. But 3 symbolic code 8 to 10, page 11 was written in 1937. Now, let us compare the statement in 1934 and in 1937. It says, in reference to the question as to how can we harmonize the statement, on the second day of the feast, the first fruits of the year's harvest were presented before God, Patriarchs and Prophets, page 539. But the statement in 3 symbolic code 8 to 10, the quotation is Desire of Ages, page 77. In 3 symbolic code 8 to 10, page 11. So, different quotations. Now, let us read again, brothers and sisters. It says, in reference to the question as to how can we harmonize the statement, on the second day of the feast, the first fruits of the year's harvest were presented before God, Patriarchs and Prophets, page 539. With the statement, the sheep offering was to be offered before the Lord on the morrow after the Sabbath, the Shepherd's Rod Volume 2, page 20. We answer as follows. The fact that the author says, on the day the Passover was eaten, he was to be sacrificed, proves that she does not mean the second day from the feast, which Jesus celebrated, but rather from the Paschal feast on Friday night, which actually falls on the Sabbath. For the Passover on Friday, before he was crucified, the second day of the feast would not fall on Sunday, but rather on the Sabbath. And as her position is that Christ arose on Sunday, on the day the sheep was offered, Desire of Ages, 785, it is evident that the statement in Patriarchs and Prophets must be understood to refer to another than the second day from the first feast, the real Passover. In other words, if she means that which seems to appear on the face of it, the second day of the feast, according to what she was written elsewhere, would fall on the seventh day Sabbath instead of on the day the resurrection took place. Then it says, page 6 of this issue, in answering a question in regards to the length of time from the day Jesus ate the Passover to the crucifixion, proves that he ate the Passover feast with the 12 on Wednesday night, and that he was resurrected on Sunday morning, that is 6 a.m. That is on the day the sheep was to be presented before the Lord. This proves that the words on the second day of the feast, the first fruits of the year's harvest, were presented before God, Patriarchs and Prophets 539, could not mean the day after Jesus ate the Passover. However, thus far, we are not able to give a better explanation of Patriarchs and Prophets 539. Nevertheless, the facts herein prove the shepherd's rod correct. Now, the shepherd's rod confessed faithfully and honestly, saying that we have not been able to give a better explanation concerning Patriarchs and Prophets 539. And what the shepherd's rod, I would like to explain the statement given in the shepherd's rod. So, this is 31 AD, April, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now, accordingly, the sheep must be offered on Sunday. And the shepherd's rod made it also plain that on that year, let us read again, in 2SR. April 14 fall on Wednesday, 2SR. It says, page 23, the 14th day of the first month that year, the year of crucifixion, was on Wednesday, and the day ended at sunset even. The first day of the Passover feast, 15th day of the month, that is the first day of the Passover feast, came on Thursday. The second feast on Friday. The third feast on Saturday. The fourth feast on Sunday. Now, let us now place the statement in the shepherd's rod into a calendar. So this is 14. Therefore, Jesus Christ was crucified on the 16th. And Jesus Christ was resurrected on 18th. Then we have 19, 20, 21. So this is the day by which the Passover week ended. Then 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Then we have 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, then 3, then 2, then this is 1. So this is the calendar in the year of crucifixion. So B.T. Hotep says that if the prophet is saying, Sister White, the first day of the feast is the crucifixion, then the second day of the feast must be on Saturday, not on Sunday. Brothers and sisters, if that is the case, that the first feast is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, because the Bible is very plain. Jesus Christ was crucified on Friday. So, the sheep offering must be offered on the third day of the feast, still not on the second day. B.T. Hotep is only trying to explain the quotation that had been given by the questioner. Although B.T. Hotep says that in reality, we have not been able to give a better explanation concerning Desire of Ages 5, Patriarchs and Prophets 539, and even though Desire of Ages page 77. And let us read again Desire of Ages page 77, or the statement in 3 Symbolic Code 8 to 10, page 11. So let us read again the statement. It says here, 3 Symbolic Code 8 to 10, page 11. Now, the only disagreement between the shepherd's rod and the Desire of Ages on this subject is that the Desire of Ages says that on the second day of the feast, the first fruits of the year's harvest, a sheaf of barley was presented before the Lord. The Desire of Ages, page 77, which places the first piece of the Passover on the Sabbath. Numbers 28, verse 17. What is the first piece? April 15. So Bittiotep is trying to explain that if the first fruits of the sheaf of barley is presented before the Lord on the second day of the feast, then we can easily understood that April 15 fall on Sabbath. Because the second day of the feast always fall on 16th, because the first day of the feast always fall on the 15th. There are 7 days, brothers and sisters. That is why it is called Passover week. 7 days affair. I think it is found in 2SR, saying that there are 7 days affair concerning the Passover week. And that is the reason that it is called Passover week, because 7 days affair. Page 19, 2SR. Permit us to clear the controversy by facts that can stand the test. Let the reader bear in mind that the Passover is a 7-day affair, or what is called the Passover week. So, and it was enumerated, right, in 2SR page 23. But to elaborate it more, so April 14, it is called Passover Day. 15 is the first feast. 16 is the second feast. 17 is the third feast. 18 is the fourth feast. 19, it is the fifth. Then 20, it is the sixth. And 21, it is the seventh. So first feast, second feast, third feast, fourth feast, fifth feast, sixth feast, and the seventh feast. So that is how we enumerate the Passover week. Or in other words, to repeat again, the first feast always fall on the 15th of the first month or April. The first feast always fall on the 15th. But the absolute fact is that the 15th does not fall always on the same day. So that is the absolute fact. And since there are 7 patterns of Bible calendar, so there must be 15th, which is Monday. There must be 15th, which is Sunday. There must be 15th, which is Monday. There must be 15th, which is Tuesday. There must be 15th, which is Wednesday. There must be 15th, which is Thursday. There must be 15th, which is Friday. There must be 15th, which is Saturday. The first feast always fall on the same date, 15th. It will never be changed. The first feast always fall on the same date, that is the 15th. But the absolute fact is that the first feast does not always fall on the same day. So there is a feast by which the first feast, 15th, is Sunday. There must be a feast by which the 15th is Monday. There must be a feast which is the 15th is Tuesday. There must be a feast by which the 15th is Wednesday. There must be a feast by which the 15th is Thursday. There must be a 15th by which the first feast is on Friday. There must be a feast by which the 15th fall on Sunday. Now, brothers and sisters, the mere fact that the shepherd says that the sheaf of barley on the year of crucifixion, on the day when Jesus Christ was resurrected, fall on the 4th day of the feast. What is the 4th day of the feast? 18th. The 4th day of the feast always fall on 18th, the same date. That is always. The 4th day of the feast is fall on the 18th day of the first month, April. But the fact is that the 18th day of the first month does not always fall on Sunday. And in the 7 patterns, there is only one pattern by which the 18th day fall on Sunday. And that is pattern number 6, the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Or another divine principle that I would like to introduce concerning the offering or the presentation of the barley sheaf before the Lord. The presentation of the barley sheaf before the Lord always fall on Sunday, the first day of the week. Always fall on Sunday because that is the divine principle given in Leviticus 23, verse 11. It must be presented before the Lord on the morrow after the Sabbath, after the weekly Sabbath. Therefore, the sheaf of barley is presented before the Lord always on Sunday. But the absolute fact is that the presentation of the sheaf of barley, which is always fall on Sunday, does not fall always on the same date. brothers and sisters, it does not fall on the same date. And there are only 7. I think 8. Let us show the 7 patterns of Bible calendar when the worship is offered. First, not until we will be familiarized with the Bible calendar, brothers and sisters, there might be great difficulty to comprehend this very important subject, the wave sheaf and the wave loaves. Now, these are the 7 patterns of Bible calendar. Pattern number 1, the wave sheaf is offered on the 5th day of the feast, that is Sunday, but April 19. Because April 19 is the 5th day of the feast. But April 19 does not always fall on Sunday. Only on pattern number 1, by which April 19 fall on Sunday. All of them are Sunday because it is the offering or the presentation of the sheep before the Lord. Pattern number 2. This is the statement recorded in Desire of Ages, page 77, and Patriarchs and Prophets 539, by which the sheep is offered before the Lord on the 2nd day of the feast, which is April 16. The 2nd day of the feast always fall on April 16. But April 16 does not always fall on Sunday. Only on pattern number 2. Now, on pattern number 3, the wave sheaf is offered on the 6th day of the feast. That is April 20, Sunday. But that is the 6th day of the feast, April 20. But April 20 does not fall always on Sunday. Only on pattern number 3. Pattern number 4, the wave sheaf is offered on the 3rd day of the feast, that is April 17. Because April 17, that is the 3rd day of the feast. Or in other words, the 3rd day of the feast always fall on April 17. But the fact is that April 17 does not always fall on Sunday. Only on pattern number 4. Pattern number 5, the wave sheaf is offered on the 7th day of the feast. That is April 21. But the 7th day of the feast, brothers and sisters, the 7th day of the feast always fall on April 21. But April 21 does not always fall on Sunday, only on pattern number 5. Pattern number 6, this is the statement in 3 Symbolic Code, number 8 to 10, page 11. The year by which Jesus Christ was resurrected and being the antitypical wave sheaf. That is pattern number 6, by which the sheep is offered on the 4th day of the feast, April 18. April 18 is the 4th day of the feast. Or in other words, the 4th day of the feast always fall on April 18. But the fact is that April 18 does not always fall on Sunday, only on pattern number 6. Pattern number 7, the wave sheaf is offered on the 8th day of the feast, April 22, Sunday. Or in the 7 patterns, only pattern number 7, by which the Passover week, there is an 8th day. All of them are only 7 days. For example, I would like to read to you Acts of the Apostles. Acts of the Apostles, page 390 and 391. At Philippi, Paul tarried to keep the Passover. Only Luke remained with him. The other members of the company passing on to Troas to await him there. The Philippians were the most loving and true-hearted of the apostles' converts. And during the 8 days of the feast, he enjoyed peaceful and happy communion with them. Acts of the Apostles 390 and 391. Therefore, that event when Apostle Paul kept the Passover, according to the reading, brothers and sisters, in the Philippians, that is for sure pattern number 7. Because only pattern number 7, there is an 8th day of the feast. Pattern number 1, only 7 days. Pattern number 2, only 7 days. Pattern number 3, pattern number 4, pattern number 5, and pattern number 6. But since, brothers and sisters, Apostle Paul, in that period of time, they celebrated the Passover feast, there is an 8th day of the feast, that is pattern number 7. And by patterns, then we can immediately discern that that is in the year 60 or 60 AD, brothers and sisters. Because that is the last pattern of pattern number 7 before Apostle Paul had been murdered by the Jewish people. Now let us go back to our subject, brothers and sisters. So hoping that you could familiarize the 7 patterns so that it would be even more easier for us to comprehend this very important truth that had been revealed by God unto us as recorded in the Shepherd's Rod publications. Now, let us go back, brethren, and Old Symbolic Code number 3, page 5 and 6, page 13. 3 Symbolic Code 5 and 6, page 13. It says, this query is answered in track number 3, the harvest, in the illustration on page 44, of which the barley sheaf of the first fruits is pictured in type and antitype. Now, what is the divine principle concerning type and antitype? The Great Controversy, page 300, let's read again. The Great Controversy, page 399, it says, these types were fulfilled not only as to the event, but as to the time. Now, let us read the entire paragraph. It says, these types were fulfilled not only as to the event, but as to the time. On the 14th day of the first Jewish month, the very day and month on which for 15 long centuries the Passover lamb had been slain, Christ, having eaten the Passover with his disciples, instituted that feast, which was to commemorate his own death as the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world. That same night he was taken by wicked hands to be crucified and slain. And as the type of the wave sheep, our Lord was raised from the dead on the third day, the first fruits of them that sleep, a sample of all the resurrected just, whose vile body shall be changed and fashioned like unto his glorious body. Verse 20, Philippians 3, verse 21. Brothers and sisters, now let us analyze closely the statement given by the voice of inspiration, saying, these types were fulfilled not only as to the event, but as to the time. And it says, for 15 long centuries, and we know that 1 century consists of 100 years. So, 15 times 100, that should be 1,500 years. Now, the voice of inspiration says, brothers and sisters, that the types were not fulfilled not only to the event, but as well as to the time. Meaning, the only way that you could be able to discern the time is through Bible pattern calendar. Brothers and sisters, the statement in Patriarchs and Prophets, 539, and the statement in Desire of Ages, page 77, by which the Spirit prophecy plainly telling that celebration, the sheaf of barley, was offered on the second day of the feast. What is the second day of the feast? 16. I would like to repeat again the divine principle. The second day of the feast, there is no other date except 16. Because the first day of the feast is 15. Therefore, the second day of the feast, it must be 16. And the second divine principle is that according to the Bible, in Leviticus 23, verse 11, the sheep will be presented before the Lord on the morrow after the Sabbath. So the shepherd's rod made it so plain, in track number 3, page 78, that the presentation of the barley sheep before the Lord always fall on the first day of the week, which is called Sunday. But that presentation of the barley sheep before the Lord, brothers and sisters, does not always fall on the second day of the feast. So, it does not fall on the second day of the feast. Always. And the evidence is found in the shepherd's rod. That accordingly, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, which is exactly typifying the presentation of the barley sheep before the Lord, took place on Sunday. But that Sunday, on the resurrection of Jesus Christ, is not the second day of the feast, but it is the fourth day of the feast. What is the fourth day of the feast? April 18. But not April 18 always fall on Sunday. Not all April 18. Only on pattern number 6. So, the absolute fact is concretely established that the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and the resurrection of Jesus Christ being on the fourth day of the feast, and the statement in Desire of Ages, page 77, and Patriarchs and Prophets 539 being on the second day of the feast, plainly showing that there are different patterns of the Bible calendar, and the pattern of the Bible calendar on the year of crucifixion of Jesus Christ mentioned in 3 Symbolic Code 8 to 10, page 11, is not the same pattern recorded in Desire of Ages, page 77, and Patriarchs and Prophets, 539, because the statement in Desire of Ages, page 77, the sheaf of barley is presented before the Lord on the second day of the feast, by which the second day of the feast at that time is April 16, Sunday, whereas the presentation of the barley sheaf in 31 AD, as stated by the shepherd's rod, recorded in the Bible, that is on the fourth day of the feast, by which April 18 fall on Sunday. So that is very plain, brothers and sisters. Now let us go back again to our reading in 3 Symbolic Code number 5 and 6, page 13. It is little difficult, but in reality, at the time when you will be able to familiarize the 7 patterns of the Bible calendar, it is even more easier, and it will helps you a lot to comprehend the plan of redemption. Maybe we can project the 7 patterns of the Bible calendar, brothers and sisters. What I'm saying is that, can we save these 7 patterns and send to the brethren who are watching and viewing this program so that they could be able to copy these 7 patterns of the Bible calendar? And we begin in 4000 BC because pattern number 1, according to the shepherd's rod, begin in 4000 BC. So you can see 4000 BC, 3999 BC, 3998 BC, 3997 BC, 3996 BC, 3995 BC, then 3994 BC. Therefore, in 3993 BC, go back to the same pattern, pattern number 1. Begin again. So there are only 7-year cycle. So please copy the 7 patterns of the Bible calendar. And you can trace from 4000 BC to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and you can see the accurate reckoning, Bible reckoning. 12 months in a year, 30 days each month, 360 days every year. Now let us go back again to the reading. And 3 Symbolic Code 5 and 6, page 13. This query is answered in track number 3, the harvest, in the illustration on page 44, of which the barley sheaf of the first fruits is pictured in type and antitype. That is, the ceremonial sheaf of barley prefigured the resurrection of Christ, the first fruits including those who arose with him. These resurrected ones constituted the spiritual sheep which at the beginning of the judgment of 1844 was offered before the Father as a sheep offering of the living first fruits. Now, this is the portion that we need to concentrate, brothers and sisters. All of us agreed and accept the absolute fact that October 22, that is the beginning of the judgment of the dead. October 22, 1844. Brothers and sisters, we need to understand that the word beginning is a period of time. Beginning. Beginning is a period of time. And that is also illustrated in the subject, the harvest. Because in answerer number 2, page 36, it says, the harvest is a period of time having a beginning and ending. Answerer number 2, page 36. Harvest, it is a period of time having a beginning and ending. Now, in 2TG number 11, page 12 and 13, there are 2 classes of harvest. Harvest which pertains to the dead, and harvest that pertains to the living. I would like to read first that statement. 2TG, number 11, page 12 and 13. It says, for example, after the harvest of the dead is past, investigative judgment, other truths even more important must be introduced for the harvest of the living. I say more important truths because they are concerning the living themselves, concerning those whose own cases are to be weighed in the balances, those who personally are to be judged either as wheat or as tares, either as good fish or as bad fish. 2TG number 11, pages 12 and 13. So the statement on track number 3, page 88, saying, the judgment is the harvest. Track number 3, page 88. The judgment is the harvest. The harvest is the judgment. So, the judgment is divided into two phases, beginning and ending. The same with the harvest. The harvest is divided into two sections, beginning and ending. The word beginning is a noun, a gerund, taken from the verb in ing form, progressive. So, the judgment, which is called investigative, is divided into two sections. What is the work, which is the beginning? Blotting out of sins. In the period which is called ending, inscribing their names to the book of resurrection, or it is called granting of rewards. Now, October 22, 1844. Now, for example, our understanding, this is October 10, October 22. The question is this: is there any waving in the ceremonial system that God commanded His people to wave the sheep offering on the Day of Atonement? There is no such thing, brothers and sisters, ever recorded in the Bible. Who is the originator of the inter-Jewish economy? Jesus Christ. 1 SM 232. To illustrate the work of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary. That is very plain, brothers and sisters. The statement in Desire of Ages, all the ceremonies of Christ, all the ceremonies of the feast is typifying the work of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary. All the ceremonies of the types. Now the question is there any ceremony in the type by which on the Day of Atonement, the sheep is presented before the Lord on the Day of Atonement, or on the month of October, on the 7th month? Is there any record in the Bible or in the Spirit prophecy that God commanded His people to present the sheep offering before the Lord on the Day of Atonement? There is no such thing. Now let us read again the statement. In 3 Symbolic Code 5 and 6, page 13, it says, this query is answered in track number 3, the harvest, in the illustration on page 44, of which the varley sheep of the first fruits is pictured in type and antitype. What is the divine principle concerning type and antitype? Type should exactly fit the antitype, or the antitype should perfectly match to the type. Not only to the event, but as well as to the time. The Great Controversy 399, answer number 3, page 23, one is our packet edition, page 73. It says, these resurrected ones constituted the spiritual sheep which at the beginning of the judgment of 1844 was offered before the Father as sheep offering of the living first fruits. Therefore, 1844 here could not be Gregorian calendar. It is Bible calendar. In reality, brothers and sisters, the only Gregorian calendar recorded in the Spirit prophecy is October 22, 1844. But all others, no, that is not Gregorian. That is Bible calendar. Because if we will be saying that this 1844 is is Gregorian calendar, now this is the Gregorian calendar. We know Gregorian calendar will end on December 31. Therefore, October 22, 1844. That is the time when Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place. Now, the Gregorian calendar will end on December 31, 1844. January 1 is already 1845 in Gregorian calendar. Now, the statement says that these resurrected ones, the saints that had been resurrected at Christ's resurrection, brothers and sisters, accordingly, they have been offered before the Father as the living first fruits in 1844. If that 1844 is Gregorian, now tell me, what day? Is it in the one of the day from October 22 to October 31? Or from November 1 to November 30? Or December 1 to December 31? In which day by which it was offered? If we will be saving October 23 or October 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, or either one of the day of November, or either one of the day of December. Now, where is in the type by which it was occurred that there is occurrences that God commanded His people to offer the wave sheep offering before the Father in the month of October, or the month November, or in the month of December? There is no such an example, brethren. But rather that 1844 is Bible calendar, brothers and sisters. Because in Bible calendar, October 22, 1844, in reality, that is October 11, 1843. That is the Bible calendar. And Bible calendar begins on the month of April. Therefore, on the next year, April 1, 1844, that is, on the next year, that is 1844. Therefore, this statement is Bible calendar. And you can see the accuracy, brothers and sisters, and God is a perfect God. 1844 Bible calendar, that is pattern number 6. The same pattern when Jesus Christ was resurrected. Now, let us now trace when Jesus Christ entered to the holy place. So, it's very important that we could trace, brothers and sisters. When does Jesus Christ entered into the holy place? Now, let us read the great controversy. I hope that you will be patient enough to listen to this message, because I fully realize that before we could give to you the particular object in view, we need to establish first the very foundation to understand the Bible pattern calendar. Because that is the only reason why B.T. Hotep had not been able to give a better explanation concerning the question, why is that Sister White says on the second day of the feast? For the reason that the Bible calendar was not yet restored in the days of B.T. Hotep. So it's very important, brothers and sisters, that we could be able to understand the Bible calendar. So let us now trace backward when Jesus Christ entered to the holy place. It says here in the Great Controversy 421, for 18 centuries, this work of ministration continued in the first apartment of the sanctuary. How many centuries? 18. 1 century consists 100 years. 18 times 100, that is 1,800 years. Jesus Christ's work in the holy place continued for 1,800 years. We can easily discern by subtracting 1,800 from 1844, because Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place in 1844. Now, to get the exact, brothers and sisters, the exact date by which Jesus Christ entered to the holy place. Now, let us use the time and death calculator, because that is a calculator. It cannot be mistaken. We have October 22, 1844. Then let us subtract 1,800 years. So, Jesus Christ entered into the holy place October 11, 43 AD in Bible calendar, but in Julian calendar, that is August 25, 70 AD, in Julian calendar. And since there is no waiving on the month of October, so that is on what pattern, brothers and sisters? Let us see. So what pattern is pattern number 6? That is 45 AD. Now, so we're talking about Bible calendar. So I would like to make a simple illustration. 1844 minus 1,800, that must be 44 AD. So Jesus Christ entered to the holy place in 44 AD, October 11. October 11, 44 AD. So the work of Jesus Christ continued in the holy place. And since there is no waiving on the month of October, so it must be on the year 45 AD. So let us use now the Bible calendar in our computation. October 10, 1844, Bible calendar. Then subtract 1,800 years. So you will fall on October 10, 44 AD. Because we are dealing Bible calendar. So Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place in October 10, 44 AD, Bible calendar. In Julian, it is August 19, 71 AD. Now, let us read again the statement in track number 3. Track number 3, page, let's read the statement, page 85. Just as Christ and those whom He raised and took with Him became the prototypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the first fruits, the 120, of those who are to be resurrected. So also when He entered upon His priestly ministration in the first apartment of the heavenly sanctuary, and presented himself and his trophies before his father. They became the antitypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the first fruits of those who are to be translated, the 144,000 living saints. Now let us focus to the statement. When he entered upon his priestly ministration in the first apartment in the heavenly sanctuary. So we already found out that Jesus Christ entered in the first apartment in the holy place in the heavenly sanctuary October 10, 44 AD, but that is Bible calendar. In Julian, that is August 1971 AD. Now, let me show to you, brothers and sisters, let me see. I would like to confess, brethren, that for me, it's really a little bit harder to explain the Bible calendar. Although you can find no mistake in this reckoning, but the only difficulty is how to impart this knowledge, brothers and sisters. And we will try our best to gradually impart it to all the honest and true-hearted children of God in a more comprehensible manner. So, brothers and sisters, if you could see the occurrences, all of them are in the same pattern. So it was in Gregorian calendar, it is 1845, but in Bible calendar, 1844. So this is the statement in 3 Symbolic Code 5 and 6, page 13, by which in 1844, Bible calendar, April 18, brothers and sisters, the resurrected saints that had been resurrected by Jesus Christ, the first of the first fruits, been way before the Lord in April 18, 1844. And in Gregorian calendar, that is April 27, 1845. In Gregorian calendar, that is April 27, 1845. Or in other words, this April 27, in reality, that is April 18 in Bible calendar, in the fourth day of the feast, which is exactly typifying the resurrection of Jesus Christ. April 18, 31 AD. Let us distinctly separate the resurrection and the waving, because the waving, brothers and sisters, took place in the heavenly sanctuary, both apartments, holy place and most holy place, as stated here in the shepherd's rod. Now, according to track number 3, I would like to read again track number 3, and we'll continue it on our next episode. In track number 3, page 85, saying, just as Christ and those whom He raised and took with Him became the prototypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the first fruits, the 120 of those who are to be resurrected. So also when He entered upon His priestly ministration in the first apartment of the heavenly sanctuary and presented Himself and His trophies before His Father, they became the antitypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the first fruits of those who are to be translated, the 144,000 living saints. So, and notice, because the great controversy says that Jesus Christ continually worked His priestly ministration in the first apartment for 1,800 years. And it's easy to discern what year Jesus Christ entered to the holy place by subtracting 1844 minus 1,800, and that is in 44 AD. But 44 AD, when Jesus Christ entered to the holy place, that is in the month of October. The same when Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place in 1844, that is in the month of October. And in the month of October, there is no waving, because the illustration, the waving must be only on the first month of the Bible calendar, and that is in the month of April. But the evidences that had been given by the spur prophecy and the shepherd's rod, plainly telling us that the waving of the sheep in the holy place is the same pattern, the waving of the sheep when Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place. In Bible calendar, that is April 18. This is April 18. So when Jesus Christ was resurrected, April 18, Sunday, when Jesus Christ and those who had been resurrected together with Him way before the Father on 45 AD, that is also April 18, 45 AD. And when Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place in 1844. October 22, Gregorian calendar, but in Bible calendar, that is October 11, 1843. And on the next year, 1844, April 18. So then way before the Lord, those had been resurrected, brothers and sisters, in 31 AD. And we will enumerate one by one, brothers and sisters, the significance of April 18, 31 AD, pattern number 6. Then April 1845 AD, the same pattern, pattern number 6. Then April 18, 1844 AD, the same pattern, pattern number 6. Threefold typification, brothers and sisters, as stated in track number 9 on page 72. So, we will continue this subject, brothers and sisters, and hoping the good Lord will bless us. And to repeat again, pattern number 6 is the same pattern of the last Passover that had been observed in the first section of the Exodus under the leadership of Moses. That is the first section of the Exodus. And that is pattern number 6. And if we will be studying Exodus, that must be applied from 1844 onwards, the antitype. But the second day of the feast, when the wave sheep or the sheep is offered before the Lord on the second day of the feast, that is the very first Passover in the second section of the Exodus under the leadership of Joshua. Therefore, there are only two prominent patterns recorded in the Bible and also in the prophecy and the shepherd's rod. Pattern number 6 and pattern number 2. But pattern number 6 is pointing to the dead, but pattern number 2 is pointing to the living. The wave sheep and the wave loaves must have a double application. Double application of pattern number 6, double application of pattern number 2. It must have a double application. So, we will continue this subject and hoping the good Lord will bless us. Thank you very much for listening and viewing this program. Have a wonderful evening.